What is going on, Nuggets Nation NBA fans? My name is Tom Leuthner. Welcome back to Nuggets Today, presented by Fan Arch. We have some topics to cover today. A little bit of a breaking news update that's going to be a day late just because this episode is pre-recorded. But like I said yesterday, I'm going to get to the Chicago game today, the preseason game. And the first thing I want to talk about in that game is Christian Braun. And I said last episode, Peyton Watson's a guy that surprised everybody in Denver, is the biggest, the person I'm happiest with. But Christian Braun is a guy that you always expect to continue to get better and continue to work and work for this Denver team. And he's just a winner in general. I mean, this guy, like I continue to say, is one at every level. He is somebody who is so good for Denver. And I think that we're seeing so many different aspects of his game that are really leading to success for Denver. The first thing being his new ability to play make more than what we've seen. I mean, him running not only the inverted pick and roll, but just the pick and roll as the primary ball handler has been so nice to see. Him running, the passes that he's making, his playmaking ability stepping up. It really gives you a sense of security, knowing that he can run the point guard spot or the ball handling spot, I want to say, in that second unit if you need to take out Jamal. Maybe there's a little bit more confidence that needs to be there when it comes to being that primary ball handler, but he can do it. And I think that, we continue to talk about the rotation and what David Adelman's been doing and what he's testing out, but Christian Braun can do everything for Denver right now, and I'm so excited. He can hit threes. I mean, like I said, his jump shot looks fluid. His motion looks great. There's no hitch. He's running the pick and roll as the primary ball handler. He's getting blocks and steals and finishing down at the other end. He's also running the fast break by himself and dishing it. So he really is. He just continues to get better, and I'm hoping that that line doesn't fade out and he hasn't hit his max potential now, and it only gets better, especially if we're going to sign him to a $25 to $30 million deal or extension rather. So I think that, like I said, he just continues to get better. There's so many different aspects of his game that we're seeing evolve from what he was last year and how good he's really been, or really was. But like I said, I just think that he's great. I really do. I think that he has been phenomenal. This preseason has looked great for Denver. Him and Peyton Watson, the young guns finally coming up, just because I feel like we've continued to cover that the young core isn't great, and we haven't seen that much outside of people from CB. But for CB to be the fifth starter, focus on that defensive end, be able to play that defensive role, and also now be a ball handler, which is something that we haven't really seen from him. I feel like last year was a lot of AG, Jokic, Jamal, but to see CB be mixed into that, Cam Johnson be mixed into that, I think that Denver's in a really good spot in that starting five where everybody can handle that pressure. And if Jamal has to miss some time, you have people who are there. There's no primary point guard necessarily, but people can handle the ball, and I think that CB taking up that role is a phenomenal step up for Denver. The next thing I want to talk about is just that next man up, like I just said, with CB being able to ball handle, Cam being able to ball handle. In this last game, we saw Peyton Watson sort of play that same role as AG in the backup power forward spot, which I loved. I was watching, and you see, AG always runs the baseline. When Jokic gets the ball at the top of the key, you see AG run the baseline, and it usually leads to a fake Jokic floater that ends up being a lob. And we saw that from Peyton Watson. And I think that this Denver team is truly, they have a bench unit that, besides maybe Jamal, that every single player can replicate what the first five does. Maybe not to the exact level, obviously, because Peyton Watson's not as good as AG. Val isn't as good as Jokic. Tim Hardaway is not as good as like CB, but they can almost replicate the game to a T from a bench unit, which is exactly what you need. You need 10 guys who can play, and I like that there's interchangeable players. Like, you take Jokic out, and Val can still. Again, Val's not the level of Jokic where he's going to be the top guy and he's going to do all these amazing things, but he can pass the ball. Not as well as Jokic, but we saw a pass from him at the top of the key to the corner. It was a laser beam pass to Tim Hardaway, which led to a three. Unfortunately, he was standing out of bounds, but to see that passing, that playmaking ability from a guy who's backing up Jokic, we've never seen that before. The closest thing to it was Mason Plumlee, who was, funny enough, a good ball handler for a big man, but wasn't making those kinds of passes. Like I just said, CB. He could shoot from the corner. He could shoot from the top of the key. He could play defense. Tim Hardaway can do that. Again, not to that level, but we know Tim Hardaway could score. We know he could play defense. Maybe you need a guy like Strawther to step up a little bit more defensively, but that replicates CB's game. Peyton Watson, he's been better from the three-point line, from like shooting ability-wise. He's been able to handle the ball now, and he can finish at the rim, which is what we've needed him to do. He's replicating AG's game because they're both defensive monsters. So I think that we're in, and like I said, there's nobody that can replicate Jamal necessarily, but Bruce Brown is the one guy who's going to be, I guess, the backup point guard at this point, or you're going to stagger Jamal. Maybe we see Julian Strawther's playmaking a little bit. I think the closest guy to come to replicating Jamal's game is somebody who's not even on the roster, and that is Curtis Jones, just because he's a great playmaker, can shoot the ball almost as well as Jamal. So that is the guy who's closest to Jamal when it comes to the playmaking ability, but I like the replication of this second unit into the or just as much as the first unit can do. I think it's really the best thing that we've seen in Denver, the best bench we've seen in Denver in a long time, especially. The next thing I want to talk about is a former Denver Nugget, and that is Russell Westbrook. Now, Russ is officially a Sacramento King. Congratulations to Russ for finding a new home. I'm very happy for him. I loved him. I thought that he should have been on this Denver team. I'm going to miss him. I think that he would have been a great playmaker for this Denver team. But at the same time, I understand when you want to move on, you want to sort of get your other guys involved, especially the younger guys, when you need to develop them. I sort of get it. I get that you want to move on from a veteran point guard. He did provide so much, but I think this team would have fit him perfectly when it came to him being a playmaker specifically and not worrying about shooting as much. But he's on Sacramento now. That might mean that Sacramento is going to look to move a guy like Devin Carter or Malik Monk, because I'm not sure how the financial situation works with them right now, because they needed to move somebody in order to do that. Maybe Denver goes out and tries to make a trade for Devin Carter. I don't know. But like I said, Russ is there. They have a very veteran-heavy team, and we're seeing a lot of that in the Western Conference as well, with the Warriors being a veteran-heavy team, the Clippers being a veteran-heavy team. But I do think the Kings are close to fighting for that play-in spot. I think there are some surprising teams, in my opinion, that will make that play-in as well. Maybe I'll get to that beginning of the season, right before the season starts, or after preseason. But there are some teams I think could shock the Western Conference and make it. But Russ is officially back in the Western Conference, which I get. It's nice. You get to see him play against the Thunder again. You get to see him play against the Lakers, Clippers, Nuggets, all the teams that sort of gave up on him, I guess. So hopefully he can prove some people wrong and they can make a playoff run, but not beat Denver, obviously. And the last thing I want to cover is something from the last preseason game, and that is Matas Buzelis is that guy. He's going to be special. I talked about him in my most improved ranking. Man, he's a freak. He's a big body, lengthy body. That guy could play defense on all ends of the court. He could block people. I think he ended the game with 5 blocks against Denver in a preseason game. Watching him dunk on people, he is going to be so special. I love his game and how versatile he is as a player, and he's almost like Kevin Durant. Just that lengthy body. I think that, all those guys who can make those jump shots sort of look like a Kevin Durant archetype, but he's going to be special. I think he is. I really do. I think that they are going to be a good young core. Maybe they move on from some guys, but they're going to make him the Chicago Bulls player, and I think that they're going to try to build around him, which is great. But I do think that he's going to be a phenomenal player in the NBA. And like I said, if you guys are going to bet on anything, maybe bet on Matas Buzelis most improved. The other guy I would put in that conversation is Amen Thompson, but Matas is truly going to be special. That guy could finish at everywhere in the court. He could shoot. He has a fluid jump shot. It's a very nice jump shot, too, when he was wide open. But being able to dunk on people, 5 blocks in a game, he might make a case for a top 7 in voting in Defensive Player of the Year if he keeps that up. But that is all I got for you guys today, Nuggets Nation. Make sure to hit that like and subscribe button. If you guys want me to cover anything, let me know down below, and I'll catch you guys tomorrow.